So, welcome to English Literature and Critical Theory. Today, we'll have a brief discussion on Homi Bhabha. Bhabha, writes in a language which is very difficult, obscure, convoluted, and all this. And in fact, he has defended it and in, you know, phrasing it, his commitment to theory. So, my job, since this channel is for the beginners, if not tender beginners, to simplify his basic concepts. In fact, concepts are not complicated. The language that he writes in is complicated. So, I'll try to encapsulate the things in a language which is very, very simple. But of course, as I always say, if possible, you read the texts, his original texts. So, it is understood that Said, through his Orientalism, created a huge divide between Europe and non Europe, which translated later to colonizer and colonized. This is actually a misunderstanding or misreading of Said. The whole purpose behind writing Orientalism was that there are no such essential categories called Orient and Occident or Europe and non-Europe. Rather, it is the discourse of Orientalism which tried to create it. In fact, Said tried to show that, but somehow, due to partial reading or all these things, misunderstood commonly. To the contrary, it is said that Bhabha talks about points where colonizer and colonized come together. How? The very fact that say, we are discussing in English, the language is an excellent example. English is not quote unquote my language. You know, quote unquote my I said because there is also a concept called the chosen tongue. Anyway, coming back to Bhabha, so but then the English that we are using, I am using, is not the British English, the perfect King's English, Queen's English, whatever you'd like to call it. Not even American, but it's very Indian, though perhaps no less English today. But this is a case of hybridity. So on and so forth. Our laws, our institution, partial adoptions and adaptations of British laws, our institutions, many things during the colonial times, we took. Those who were or even now after purity, quote unquote, they desist this, that we should not adopt it, but that is no longer possible anyway. So this is as simple as that. Though he took it from botany, biology, this idea hybridity, simple cultures mixed. However, Bhabha also says that it is not only the colonized culture that gets hybridized, also the colonizing culture. Ah, you have this has been contested by people. Is the degree and the extent to which the colonized culture is hybridized the same with regard to the colonizing culture? Now, how many say Pizza Huts, Domino's, all this stuff we have? Just one crass example. And to the contrary, how many Bangladeshi food stalls or Indians we have abroad? And so on and so forth. But anyway, Bhaba's thing is that it transforms both. To some extent, it is true, my feeling. Bhava takes it to be wholly true. So that is hybridity. Now, this happens through a process that Bhava calls, let us say, mimicry. Mimicry, as we know, basically means imitation. However, there is a negative connotation attached to it. Ah, so you mimic someone, mimicry, there is an ironic slant. Okay, dig at someone, person's mannerism and all that. Nonetheless, mimicry, the neutral or positive term for mimicry is perhaps mimesis. Plato's work, mimesis. And of course, Plato's mimesis is also not free from pejorative connotations, but that was his own idea, not ironic, philosophical. So Aristotle, for example, in his Poetics says that how do we learn? Even the languages that we are speaking, including our mother tongue, quote unquote. Mother tongue is again problematic concept today. There are alternatives like first language. Anyway, so we learn by listening others speak. Say, so everything is we mimic, imitate actually. But when we use the word mimicry, there is a negative connotation. Now, during the British rule in India or elsewhere, let us concentrate on India because more or less it will apply to more or less, I am saying, elsewhere also, in other colonies and colonizations by other colonizers. So, mimicry is something that many Indians did, not imitation, even direct copy. And even today, they would be in many places looked down upon. Suppose if you have a fully British or American accent, being in India, at many places your peers may laugh at you, but not everywhere. There are sites, SITES, places where the corporate sector, this American or British accent or very elite societies, they are, there are people who look up to these things, look forward to these things. There, even our kind of English, will not be regarded very highly. I'm talking about the colonized country only, not the colonizer. So we mimic and some try to mimic literally. According to Bhabha, this is a powerful political tool because finally it destabilizes the colonizing process itself. So it is not like our understanding of mimicry that it is always bad or being a copycat or for satire. For instance, all our leaders of the independent movement, even including Tagore, though he was not exactly a full-fledged political leader, let us say Gandhiji, Sri Aurobindo, again like Tagore, not full-fledged Nehru ji, and then Bal Gangadhar Tilak, almost all of them were educated in English. And Aurobindo, when he was 8 years old, he was sent to Oxford, returned much later. They studied their laws, literatures, customs, politics, everything. So, and then imbibed them. Gandhiji practiced, had legal practice abroad, legal education, legal practice, but they tried to apply it in their own way in the Indian context. So Aurobindo has a very beautiful essay in a book, The Renaissance in India. There is an essay, Indian Culture and External Influence, that says, take anything from abroad or Europe, which helps you regain your faith in yourself in regenerating your own culture. But do not just take only because it is European. That is no qualification at all. Anyway, so this is hybridity. So, for example, he makes a case for democracy, which is a European system. Though we say we had this Shorosh Mahajanapada, this and that in the Indian tradition also, but by and large, the democracy that we have imbibed is a European thing. And Aurobindo says it's a good thing in Indian culture and external influence. I have a separate talk on that. But then this mimicry, colonizers were also afraid of, because at certain point what is happening is that they are transgressing the level of mere mimicry. All these leaders who became our leaders and took these things from them and then used this knowledge, education to destabilize the empire itself. So, like Caliban said in The Tempest, you taught me language. My profit on it is I know how to curse. So, we have this uh, hybridity and mimicry go hand in hand, and this massive act and fact of colonization has left no room for purity of any culture anywhere, whether it is colonized or colonizers. I know this is a sweeping statement, very, very critical friends will be much, angry with it, but then it may not be a critically nuanced statement, but it is a true statement. Except maybe Jarwas in Andaman and all that, very limited communities, even they are protected by, maintained by states and powers which bear the legacy of colonial history. And to the same extent, this philology, Oriental studies, and all, not to the same extent, I have counted in the same way, this Indian religious things becoming popular abroad, like ISKCON, this and that, yoga. So it works both ways. That is what Bhava calls hybridity actually, and it becomes possible through mimicry. We want to mimic other people's culture, especially the colonizers. So, and in both sides, it is a love and hate relationship. Bhava says, just as the colonizer, when they were here, now physically not there, they are, you know, dismissive of the natives, they want to rule them, even hateful, loathful, but at the same time, they find them exotic. On the other end, the colonized, they want to be like the sahibs, many of them. हाँ मैं तो साहब बन गया songs in Hindi suit मेरा देखो. So they aspire to become like that. And at the same time, they feel the colonizers are also corrupt and not proper. So this, you know, double-edged sword for both the parties. So both colonizer and colonized entertain a love-hate kind of relation with each other. The result is this hybridity. So thank you so much. And as I always say, preferably have your own reading. I will give a link to Bhava's relevant essays in the description. If you like it, then keep coming back to the channel for updates, further videos. Thank you.